I, 29F, never thought I'd be writing one of these, but here we are. Strap in because this is going to be a wild ride. I have an older brother, James, 31M, who recently started dating Emily, 28F. They've been together for about a year, and at first, we were all thrilled for him. James has always been the golden boy of our family, kind, funny, and everyone's go-to guy when you need help. He's had a few serious relationships, but none of them ever felt like the one. So when he introduced us to Emily, we were cautiously optimistic. Emily is intense. She's very confident and outspoken, which isn't inherently bad, but she has this way of making everything about her. At first, I chalked it up to her trying to impress us, but over time, her behavior has escalated, especially toward me. The first red flag came at our family barbecue last summer. James brought Emily to meet our extended family, and everything was fine, until it wasn't. We were playing a casual trivia game, and Emily had to win. She started correcting people aggressively, even when she was wrong. At one point, she accused me of cheating because I answered a question faster than her. It was so awkward, but I laughed it off to keep the peace. Later, when I pulled James aside to gently ask if Emily was okay, thinking maybe she was nervous, he got defensive. He said, "That's just how she is, she's competitive." Fast forward a few months, and my best friend Katie got married. I was the maid of honor and had invited James and Emily as my plus ones since we're super close. Everything was going well until Emily decided that she should have been in the bridal party. During the reception, she cornered Katie, a woman she had met twice, and said something like, "If you'd known me better, I would have been a better bridesmaid than some of your picks." Katie laughed awkwardly, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. When I confronted Emily about it later, she rolled her eyes and said, "I was just joking. Don't be so uptight." James, of course, took her side, saying I was overreacting and that Emily was just being honest. The breaking point came at Thanksgiving. Our family has a tradition where we go around the table and say what we're thankful for. It's always been a sweet, emotional moment. When it was Emily's turn, she said she was thankful for learning how to handle people who are jealous of me. She smirked directly at me. I was stunned. The whole table went silent. My mom tried to change the subject, but it was clear the damage had been done. After dinner, I confronted her in the kitchen, asking why she felt the need to take jabs at me during what was supposed to be a family moment. She went off, accusing me of trying to turn James against her and calling me pathetic. I was too shocked to respond. James walked in and immediately sided with her, saying I was being petty and needed to grow up. Since Thanksgiving, things have spiraled. Emily has made it her mission to turn James against me. She's even gone so far as to tell him that I'm toxic and that he should cut me off for his own mental health. James, who I used to be so close with, is now distant. He barely responds to my texts, and when he does, it's curt and cold. My parents are torn. My mom thinks we should just let it blow over, while my dad wants to confront James directly. I don't know what to do. I miss my brother, but every interaction with Emily is draining and toxic. I've tried having a calm, rational conversation with James, but he's completely under her spell. Part of me wants to go no contact for my own sanity, but the thought of losing my brother breaks my heart. At the same time, I can't keep walking on eggshells around Emily, pretending everything is fine. Reddit, am I overreacting? Should I just suck it up for the sake of family peace? Or is it time to set some hard boundaries? I could really use some advice. Edit, wow, I did not expect this to blow up. Thank you so much for all the support and advice. To answer a few common questions. Why is James so blind to her behavior? Honestly, I think he's just in love and doesn't want to see the red flags. Emily can be very charming when she wants to be, and James has always been a fixer. Have I tried talking to Emily directly? Yes, multiple times, but it always ends with her gaslighting me or flipping the narrative to make herself the victim. What's my next move? I think I'm going to take a step back for now. I'll focus on my own well-being and let James come to me when he's ready. It's painful, but I can't keep sacrificing my peace for someone who doesn't respect me. I'll update if anything changes. Update, hi everyone, it's been a few weeks since my original post, and I'm overwhelmed by the amount of support and advice I've received. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts. A lot has happened since then, and I wanted to give you an update. After I posted, I decided to take a step back and let James reach out to me on his own. I stopped initiating contact and didn't bring up Emily in any conversations. It was hard, especially during the holidays, but I needed to prioritize my mental health. For a while, things were quiet. My parents hosted a small family dinner a couple of weeks after Thanksgiving, and I debated whether to go. Ultimately, I decided to attend, but I made it clear to my parents that if Emily started anything, I'd leave to avoid drama. Surprisingly, Emily and James didn't show up. My mom said they'd canceled last minute because Emily was feeling under the weather, but I had my doubts. I later found out through social media, thanks Instagram stories, that Emily had hosted a dinner party with her friends the same night. About a week later, James finally called me. He started with small talk, but it quickly turned into him accusing me of alienating him and Emily from the family. Apparently, Emily had convinced him that my lack of communication was an intentional move to punish them. I stayed calm and told James that I wasn't avoiding him but that I needed space because of how toxic things had become. I laid everything out, the trivia night incident, the wedding comments, the Thanksgiving dig. I told him I missed him and wanted a relationship, but not at the cost of constantly being disrespected by Emily. James didn't take it well. He kept defending Emily, saying she was just misunderstood and that I was blowing things out of proportion. When I pointed out specific examples of her behavior, he deflected and said I needed to grow up and stop being so sensitive. It hurt. A lot. I ended the call by telling him that I loved him but that I couldn't continue to be part of this dynamic unless things changed. Here's where things get worse. Emily has apparently been going out of her way to paint me as the villain to anyone who will listen. She's posted vague but pointed things on social media about toxic siblings and jealous women who can't handle a strong personality. People who know us have reached out asking if everything's okay because the posts are clearly about me. Worse, she's gotten some of James's friends involved. One of his college buddies messaged me, accusing me of tearing their relationship apart and saying I needed to get over myself. I was livid. It's one thing to have drama within the family, but dragging outsiders into it? That's a new low. Amid all this chaos, something unexpected happened. My dad, who's usually the quiet, stay-out-of-it type, decided he'd had enough. He called James and told him, point blank, that Emily's behavior was unacceptable and that if James couldn't see it, he was failing as a brother and a son. James didn't take it well, surprise, surprise, but it planted a seed. A few days later, he showed up at my apartment unannounced. He looked awful, like he hadn't slept in days. He admitted that things with Emily had been tense and that he was starting to see some of the patterns I'd pointed out. We had a long, emotional talk. I told him that I wasn't trying to sabotage his relationship but that I couldn't keep being a punching bag for Emily. He apologized for not standing up for me and for letting things escalate. James and I are cautiously rebuilding our relationship. He admitted he's starting to see some red flags with Emily but isn't ready to end things yet. He said he wants to approach the situation carefully because Emily has a history of volatile reactions. As for Emily, I've decided to go no contact with her for now. I told James he's always welcome in my life, but I won't engage with her until she shows genuine accountability and changes her behavior. My parents are supportive of this boundary, and even my mom, the eternal peacekeeper, agrees that it's necessary. I don't know what the future holds, but I feel like a weight has been lifted. For the first time in months, I'm focusing on myself and my happiness instead of constantly worrying about this drama. Final thoughts. To anyone dealing with a similar situation, I've learned that you can't force someone to see the truth if they're not ready. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is set boundaries and protect your own peace. Thank you again for all the advice and support. I'll keep you updated if there are any major developments, but for now, I'm cautiously optimistic. Wish me luck. Major update. Hi everyone, it's been a couple of months since my original post, and I wanted to give you a thorough update on what's happened. First of all, thank you so much for all the advice, support, and shared stories from people who've been in similar situations. It was eye-opening to realize I wasn't alone, and it gave me the strength to make some tough decisions. Buckle up, because a lot has happened since my last update. When I last updated, James and I had a long, emotional conversation where he admitted he was starting to notice red flags with Emily. I thought this might be a turning point for us, but things quickly spiraled in an unexpected direction. A few weeks after our talk, James stopped responding to my messages entirely. At first, I thought he was just taking some space to process everything, so I gave him time. But when weeks turned into over a month, I started to worry. I reached out multiple times, asking if he was okay and letting him know I was here for him. It wasn't until I called my mom that I found out what was happening. Apparently, Emily had convinced James that I was the one being manipulative and toxic. She told him I was trying to break them up and that my goal was to ruin his happiness because I was jealous of their relationship. According to my mom, James had completely withdrawn from the family at Emily's urging. She claimed that we were all against her and that we didn't respect her place in his life. My parents were heartbroken, especially my dad, who had always been so close to James. As if that weren't enough, Emily began escalating her tactics. She started spreading rumors about me to mutual friends and acquaintances. I found out through a coworker, who knows James socially, that Emily had been telling people I was mentally unstable and had a history of trying to sabotage James's relationships. This was a blatant lie. I've always supported James in his past relationships, even when they didn't work out. But Emily's narrative was gaining traction because, let's face it, drama is more exciting than the truth. One of the most hurtful moments came when an old college friend of James, who I'd known for years, confronted me at a party. He asked why I was trying to ruin James's life. I was so blindsided I didn't even know what to say. That was when I realized just how deep Emily's influence over James had become. At this point, my parents decided we needed to take action as a family. My mom reached out to James and asked him to come over for dinner, emphasizing that it would be just the four of us, no Emily. Surprisingly, he agreed. When James arrived, he seemed defensive from the start, as if he were bracing for an attack. My dad and I took turns explaining how we felt. We told him we missed him, that we didn't recognize the person he was becoming, and that we felt like Emily was isolating him from us. James exploded. He accused us of ganging up on him and said we were being unfair to Emily. He claimed that Emily felt unwelcome and attacked every time she interacted with us and that he was tired of trying to mediate. That's when my dad, who rarely raises his voice, said something that stopped us all in our tracks. James, she's not bringing out the best in you. She's turning you against your own family. Don't you see that? James didn't respond right away. He just sat there, staring at the table. Finally, he muttered something about needing time to think and left abruptly. The next big event was my cousin Sarah's baby shower. Sarah and I are really close, and she invited James and Emily, hoping to smooth things over. I was hesitant about attending if Emily was going to be there, but Sarah assured me she would try to keep the peace. It didn't work. Emily arrived late, dressed as if she were going to a gala rather than a casual baby shower. Within minutes, she was already making passive-aggressive comments about how some people in the family didn't know how to let go of grudges. She spent most of the event monopolizing James's attention and barely acknowledging Sarah, who was visibly annoyed but too polite to say anything. The real drama happened during the gift opening. Sarah opened my gift, a custom baby quilt I'd made myself, and was visibly touched. Emily, however, decided this was the perfect moment to say, loudly, "Oh, I didn't know we were supposed to compete for best gift. Maybe next time, we can all just chip in for one nice thing instead of trying to outdo each other." I was mortified. Sarah tried to laugh it off, but the tension in the room was palpable. After the party, she pulled me aside and apologized, saying she regretted inviting Emily. That was the last straw for me. I realized that no matter what I did, Emily would always find a way to create drama and make me look like the bad guy. I decided to go no contact with James and Emily, at least for the foreseeable future. I sent James a long, heartfelt message explaining my decision. I told him I loved him and would always be here for him, but that I couldn't keep subjecting myself to Emily's toxicity. I emphasized that my door would always be open if he wanted to rebuild our relationship, but I needed to protect my own peace. James never responded. Since going no contact, my life has been significantly less stressful. I've thrown myself into work, hobbies, and spending time with supportive friends and family members. It's been painful to lose my brother, but I've realized that I can't save him from a situation he doesn't want to be saved from. My parents have also started setting boundaries with James and Emily. They've told James he's always welcome to visit, but Emily will need to apologize and show a genuine effort to mend things before they'll accept her back into their lives. Interestingly, I've heard through the grapevine that Emily has started clashing with some of James's friends. Apparently, her controlling nature is becoming more apparent to others, and James is finding himself increasingly isolated. This whole experience has taught me some hard truths about family and boundaries. You can't control someone else's choices. As much as I want James to see the truth about Emily, it's ultimately his decision. Boundaries are essential. Protecting your own peace isn't selfish, it's necessary. Toxic people often reveal themselves. Emily's behavior is starting to alienate others, which gives me hope that James might eventually see the light. For now, I'm focusing on moving forward. My relationship with James is in limbo, and while I'm hopeful we'll reconnect someday, I'm not holding my breath. If he ever comes to me and admits he was wrong, I'll be here with open arms. Until then, I'm learning to let go and prioritize my own well-being. Thank you again to everyone who supported me through this. Your advice and encouragement made a world of difference. If anything major changes, I'll be sure to update again. For those of you dealing with similar situations, hang in there. You deserve peace, and it's okay to walk away from toxic relationships, even if they're family.